Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 28 of the Thunder Gals.
I'm running out of, yeah,
Running out of fingers to make the numbers on your hands.
the 20. Yeah, I'm having to think about it more.
So it is still round one of the playoffs for five of the series. Is it five? No, we
I know.
four series now remaining in the first round. Four second round teams have been determined. Three in the West, one in the East. I'm Oklahoma Gal, here with my co-host Paula. How are you doing, Paula?
I'm doing good. I've been enjoying watching the other first round games that I probably maybe wouldn't have paid as much attention to. Like I was locked into that Atlanta Knicks game, because I thought maybe the Hawks might be a surprise upset, but that score last night, I was hoping, crossed fingers, that was going to be the elusive 74-point difference game, but it was only 51.
It's
It
so
lives
hard to
another
get
day.
that 74. So
You
hard.
have to be a special kind of suck to get the
I mean, it was
it's
looking
you know,
bad though, because like
it
I
was.
flipped on that Knicks Hawks game on a second screen because my husband and I are rewatching The Expanse on Amazon Prime, and I don't make him watch every single basketball game that I watch, so threw it on a computer screen on the side and was like, I thought I had like tuned into some like fake version of it or something. Because as soon as I flipped it on, it was like 60 something to 19. And then before I knew it, it was 72 to 22. And I was like,
Right. They went into
whoa.
the half 47 up,
Uh,
which, if
uh,
there's any record, they at least have the highest differential of a first half. So we're halfway there.
oh, we're halfway there.
Seriously, somebody's going to break it. I know. I've got to get that. I mean,
Ooh, I felt bad for the Hawks. What a terrible way to have your season end.
they
Um,
completely forgot that they played yesterday or something. I don't know. It was really bad. Like, it was shockingly different. And
yeah,
and I think that was the hardest part, because I don't think the Knicks came out any harder than they had the previous game. I really don't. I just think that the Hawks just,
well,
I don't know, the Gremlins came and stole whatever motivation they had.
you often hear the old saying, it's a make or miss league. Well, last night was an example of what happens when one team is making everything and the other team
Yeah.
is missing everything.
Yeah. Which
So,
then leads me over to the other conference of
yes.
the Nugs. The Nugs and the Wolves last night did not, that series ended way different than I had anticipated, and probably a lot of people's brackets.
I I think I felt better about the Timberwolves than most in that I had the Nuggets winning in seven. Like
Mhm.
I knew enough to know that the Timberwolves were not going to go and just let that series go easily because that's such a big rivalry now. But I did not expect, especially after all the injuries.
Right, because you got Dante's what, ACL. Ant went down. There was somebody else. I can't think who it
Ayo
was.
Dosunmu didn't play last night and he had 40 points the other night. So like
Right.
they just I thought they were decimated. It was all setting up for the Nuggets to come back from the 3-1 deficit and potentially pull out a win in seven back in Denver. But
Yeah.
instead, the Wolves used that home energy last night in front of their home crowd, knowing
Yep.
that they had one shot to take that series at home, and they
Yep.
brought it. And the Nuggets couldn't match the energy. And Jaden
No.
McDaniels, some of y'all may have heard him. It was either after game two or game three. He went off in a post-game news conference and said, "Well, yeah, they Jokic can't defend, Gordon can't defend, Jamal Murray can't defend," and just basically listed off their whole roster and said none of them can stop us. And then he went out and backed it up.
Yeah. One of the interesting things that I saw today comparatively, and I don't have the notes in front of me, but someone brought Russ into the conversation and they were like, look at all the stats and look at how Russ helped us in the playoffs last year. And could he have helped us last night? If he had brought those same numbers in, would it have the same, would the series still be the same as what it ended up with last night? And I was like, well, y'all wanted Russ gone. You don't get to rose color it now.
I think he probably didn't get enough credit for how much he helped lead that bench unit last year for the Nuggets. I will give Kings fans this credit. Like the Kings fans I've seen on threads were very complimentary of what Ross brought to the table and brought for that team this year in
Hmm.
terms of his leadership and his energy. They're they're not things you can quantify in a box score, but
Right.
like it matters like how you approach the game, the energy you come out with.
Hmm.
And
The mentoring.
I think he would have come out with enough energy last night to help probably lead the Nuggets to a little more oomph that they just didn't seem to have. They didn't seem to be treating it like a must-win desperation
They didn't. I
game.
think that's the thing that really got me with them last night was the intensity was just not there. And then they tried to turn it on in the fourth and they came back, got kind of close, but it wasn't enough. I mean, you're seven down with 2 minutes. That's still able to overcome. They did not have the energy to do it, and the Wolves could tell. The Timberwolves just knew. So,
Yeah, I did see something funny today that I posted on my personal Threads account. I'd been wondering who does David Adelman, the Nuggets coach, look like? Because I was like, he looks like
yeah.
somebody I've seen before. And then
Uh-huh.
somebody had the side by side of him next to one of Joe Exotic's boyfriends from Tiger King.
Oh
Uh, the guy
no.
who the guy who says he lost his crocodilian colleagues in the fire. And
Oh my
he's the
goodness.
spitting image.
Well, that would explain why you think he looked familiar. So,
I was
man.
like, that's
Well,
who he looks like.
on the positive side for you, you don't have to see him anymore since he's on the plane to Cancun today. So,
Adios, David Adelman, Nepo baby coach.
and I will say, Jokic was smaller this season. By the playoffs, he looked smaller. And I'm not taking that away from anything because look, I'm going to bite my tongue and I'm going to say it, but Rudy Gobert had an amazing series.
Hey,
Seriously, that probably one of the best series that he's had.
Wolves
But it
fans
just,
don't like Rudy the person, but they all understand like Rudy brought it this series for them.
he did. He did. But it was just so interesting that Joker's
Yoker,
physique.
the
Joker, I
Yoker.
know. I'm just gonna roll them together. I was like, did I say that right? No, I did not. Jokic just his body looked leaner and it just didn't carry as much gravitas as he normally does. So, but of course it didn't stop him from shoving everybody every game.
I tell you, he looked throughout that series frustrated to a degree that I have not seen him be in most of his career.
Yeah.
And it really speaks to there must be something more going on behind the scenes with that team. The vibes just felt off.
Yeah.
That did not feel like a team that was fully together, and he seemed very frustrated just with all of it, with how he was being defended, with how much energy and force the Timberwolves brought, regardless of who they had to roll out there.
Yeah.
And it finally just took its toll, and he, you know, was taking it out on other players. And frankly, it was uncalled for. It was kind of
Hmm.
loser behavior, and it certainly is not going to help how people feel
Yeah.
about him in other fan bases.
No, it won't. Now, did you see Finch's quote that
I
he
did,
said? I thought that was very interesting that the Nuggets chose to play the Timberwolves.
which I don't know that they chose to. Like it really felt
That
like in
last
that
game, though,
they were
between,
trying to lose. They didn't play anybody. And there's only
I
so
don't
much you
know.
can do when both teams are not playing their starters. Like one team has to win.
But I think they won more than they expected. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't complaining at
It,
all because I anticipated that that was going to lead to, the Nugs and a Spurs playoff or series, and that we wouldn't have to face both of them.
yeah.
That was what I wanted.
Well, we
And
definitely don't
so,
have to face the Nuggets now.
no, absolutely don't have to face the Nugs.
So we will either
So,
get,
if
provided
if
we make it past the second round, it would
correct.
be against the winner of the San Antonio Spurs, who did the gentleman's sweep on Portland, got that in 5 games,
Hmm.
and it'll be either San Antonio or Minnesota, who will begin their second round series on Tuesday night, which
Okay.
means it's looking more likely that the Thunder will likely start Wednesday night in round two. So
I
de
could see that. But we
depend.
still don't know who we're playing. It's
So
Friday.
I fully expected that by today the Lakers would have wrapped up this series against the Rockets after going up
Completely.
3-0.
Yeah,
Um, they got Austin Reeves back,
they sure did.
had a
And they
home
sure,
game with
yeah,
Austin Reeves up 3-1, chance to win the series in LA.
closed it out. Because I think LeBron is like 8-0 in closing out series at home when they're 3-0, or one of those Tuesday statistics.
Yeah, that I did not see coming. I thought they
No.
were going to wrap that up in 5 as well. I was like, oh, yeah, it's fine. They lost one in Houston. They'll just go back and take care of it in LA.
Yeah.
Instead, they're playing tonight, Friday
Yeah.
night game 6. Houston has the chance to do something funny and force a game 7 after being down
Man.
0-3.
I mean, maybe their strategy is to wear down their 41-year-old guard that they've got. You
Now,
know,
it's funny even that we're this far into our Thunder podcast and we've had very little Thunder to talk about.
it's true. That's what happens when your team sweeps and gets to rest all week.
So, speaking of the Thunder and
Yes.
sweeping, third
Yes.
straight year in a row that they swept the first round. Mark Daignault now 12-0 in round one games as a head coach.
Yes.
I think that deserves more attention than it got. It feels like all of the national media just kind of assumed the Thunder would sweep.
Yeah.
And so there's been very little talk about the series. It was kind of boring. Like none of the games even really ended up being quite that close. Like
Mm-mm.
none of them really came down to any final shots or anything. And so it kind of slipped under the radar, but that's a magnificent statistic that Coach Mark is 12 and
Absolutely.
0 in first round games. The
Yeah.
Spurs have the alien Victor Wembanyama,
Uh-huh.
their young coach who did, a fantastic job leading them to
Yep.
a 60 win season. He's already lost more round one games in his first playoffs than Coach Mark has in three.
I know.
And they did a
And I
gentleman's
think that
sweep.
that's a, I know. I just think I honestly, it's like you said, the presumption was there that this was going to be a sweep. So, okay, ho hum, let's pay attention everywhere else because this was a foregone conclusion. Well, last night proved nothing against the Timberwolves, but the presumption was that the Nugs were going to move on. Everybody, I
Every
mean, so
single
many people.
ESPN expert picked the Nuggets to win that series.
Yeah,
All
because
of them.
everybody was looking forward to quote unquote, a Nug Spurs series. They thought that was going to be, a powerhouse series between the two. And as we say every week, anything can happen in basketball.
Yeah.
And the Nuggets are now they're at the airport heading to Cancun.
And in the East, it looked pretty like earlier this week. If you'd told me the Celtics wouldn't have moved on by the time we recorded this
Right?
podcast, they were up 3-1. They're now
Yeah.
going to a game seven against Philadelphia.
Which that one blows my mind. I would not have thought that Philly would take him to seven.
And Embiid's
Again,
back
presumptions.
and was playing great after an
Mhm.
appendicitis surgery like 3 weeks
12 days.
ago.
12 days he was out. Where other people were a month and all this 12 days. So,
Yeah. So magnificent stuff. Playoff P was in effect last night for the Sixers. We actually
mhm.
saw the old Paul George emerging, and it did that 25 game suspension for testing positive for PEDs, like
Yeah.
do him a favor to where he got to be super fresh for these playoffs.
Right? Of course, all the people were joking last night. All the memes came out of the, playoff P and having the cup waiting for him when he got back in the locker room and everything.
Uh,
Which, to be fair, some of it was brought on himself,
hey.
and some of it is carrying a lot of weight on that one. But playoff P has my support forever. So Thunder Legend,
Thunder
playoff
legend
P.
Paul George. And, we still love him because A, he re-signed with the Thunder after they took the chance on getting the 1 year rental where he could have just gone and signed anywhere.
Yeah,
Did stay and re-sign. Two, because of that trade, we got the team we have now. So
yeah,
we owe
and an
him
upcoming lottery pick. Thank you, Clips.
we owe him a lot for everything that has turned into an embarrassment of riches for Sam Presti and the Thunder.
In Samuel, we trust. Absolutely. Oh, but yeah,
Game four was pretty good. Like it was not a bad game on what was it, Monday night that game four
yeah.
was. The Suns came out tough. They fought. They kept
It
fighting
was a win
back.
or go home for him.
They had
There wasn't
their moments.
there wasn't a ton of excitement for that game. Like I was in a chat with people for Suns and Thunder. Not a lot of Thunder people, and it was just not a lot of people in there because it wasn't an exciting game.
Yeah, that was
There
the
wasn't a lot
Threads
of
chat. I was in
anticipations.
there for a while
Yeah.
too.
And
Thank
there just
you, Carrie at Suns Fanatics, for hosting the chat. We appreciate that.
absolutely definitely going to support these threads chats that are going on. That's part of why I've popped into so many of these other games because so many of the hosts are bringing people together and it's very interesting to watch even though I don't have, a horse in the race in those, it eventually will pair up with the Thunder and there will be something. So it's interesting to hear feedback and what's going on with the other teams.
Yeah.
And it just I again I just feel like it's the catch 22. People are hating on the Thunder, but then in the next breath, they fully anticipated that we were going to sweep in the first, and it's not worth talking about anyway.
Speaking of hating on the Thunder,
Oh, yes. And
what a
speaking on
segue.
things,
What a segue. So, Jennifer Welch, who is a co-host of the Had It podcast, a political podcast, used to be a Bravo host of Sweet Home Oklahoma. She's an Oklahoma City native. She was on a sports gossip podcast called The Sports Gossip Show
Mhm.
and was asked about Doris Burke. So I want to play that clip for us here, and then we can react to it. I'll let you have first bite after we hear it.
Anything you want to say about the Thunder?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like
You have the floor.
I would like to say that I think Doris Burke is a MAGA style propagandist with calling Shea Gilligas Alexander a foul merchant. And I've ever since she said that,
Wow.
that propaganda everywhere I go in New York, all these salty Knicks fans try to diminish SGA's athleticism, which let's face it, we haven't seen anything like this since Michael Jordan. And it all started with Doris Burke, who is a Thunder hater, an SGA hater, and a Thunder and SGA propagandist. I've completely had it with her. She's not loved in Oklahoma City. It is not objective journalism. And people say, oh, you need to support women in sports. I support honesty above everything else. And she was dishonest about Shea. Now, all of these little haters, all of these little jealous basketball fans, instead of being happy for SGA, then they clamor on, well, oh, he only is good because of his free throws, which is bull, which is objectively false.
Is there any?
All right. So,
so I, at the core, I do agree with a lot of what Jennifer says. Um, Doris Burke has a very interesting history here in Oklahoma. And a lot of it comes from, again, like she said, the free throw merchant comment that she made last year in the finals. Now, Doris didn't start it. Doris read it, heard about it, but because of the platform she was on, it spread. And it was easy to latch onto. It's a great narrative because Shea drives so much. He does get to the line more than a lot of people, but he's not even top five of drives to foul. I mean, it's a whole thing. Yes, we support women in sports and announcing clearly. Look at us. I mean, she's theys and gays. Bring them on. But she has not endeared herself because she does not give the impression of impartiality. And I think that's really what Jen's getting down to.
yeah, that's an interesting point. I've loved Doris for a long time, actually. If you can go back to my timeline, I think I was pre-Threads, so you couldn't go back on my Threads timeline. But if you
Mhm.
are one of my Facebook friends, you would have seen it. Like in I think it was 2018. I was at down in Minneapolis to see the Thunder playing at the Wolves, and it was an ESPN night. And I took pictures because Doris Burke was covering the game, and I was like, "Oh, the legend Doris Burke is in the house," and like I was excited to be at a game that she was covering because I always liked that, she was a woman who knew ball. Like,
Mhm.
she does know the sport. I do think that I'm so glad you said it because I was going to point it out is like she didn't start the free throw merchant narrative, but she threw a lot of gasoline on it.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things that there were some like basketball nerds on X and Threads who had started this narrative and were trying to push it. And it was kind of out there, but it did not take off to the same degree until she said it live on a broadcast.
Yeah.
And I do think that was possibly irresponsible to take something that was kind of a niche narrative and blow it up like that. Um,
Well, I saw some people talk about the fact that Doris has been around sports long enough, or so long, that in old time, in the past, a foul merchant or a free throw merchant could have been seen as a positive thing. Somebody that was able to draw the foul, somebody was able to
yeah,
get to the line. And
it
so
it's a
potentially,
common rule of like anybody who's watched the league as long as I have, and I started watching around the 87, 88 season when I was like 8 years old.
yeah,
That's how long I've been watching. So I'm an old
mhm,
head, y'all.
yeah,
Um, it was like a common rule that like if you wanted to be a 30 point a game scorer, you needed to average at least 10 free throws a game. Like that was
okay,
just like a common rule, like 30-point
hmm,
scorers need to be getting to the line, otherwise you're not going to hit that average.
okay,
So like
yeah.
yeah, so
So that's
she's
why
from
I
that
think,
time frame.
and so that's why some people are saying, it exploded from that, but she may have not had the ill intention. But I think, again, I still come back to the fact that she was an amazing, amazing sideline reporter. I mean, set the tone. Loved it when she got the promotion to call games. Now some people think that maybe some of it are the media overlords, maybe pushing certain narratives that may take some of the announcers out of the unbiased realm. Because what I was seeing was there's almost been an overcorrection. So, like, she's not as challenging on the Thunder in some games as she was last year. So now you got 29 other teams that don't like Doris because they think she's glazing the Thunder. Whereas the people on the Thunder, celebrating the Thunder are like, oh, well, Doris Burke, she's already burned all the bridges. And clearly we're going to read everything she said. So she can't win for losing at this point,
Yeah.
at least around here.
I don't even think she was that bad at being not impartial. Like, I think she gets excited for good players of all the teams that she covers, and like,
There's a couple that she's very fond of.
but
She's very fond
I
of
will,
Luca
I
and
will
Ant.
say, I will say this. I think her commentary has gotten lazy in recent years, and that might be part of why she leaned on to the foul merchant narrative was because she was just kind
Maybe.
of being lazy and just taking an easy shot that she'd seen on her social media feed or something.
I don't think we'll know how
But
or what her intention was because now you can't walk back any narrative.
well, on that narrative, it's out there now, and a
Yeah.
lot of people have glommed onto it. And to those people who only watch I can't imagine only watching clips of fouls and claiming to be an NBA fan. Like, why are you
Oh, there's
watching so many
compilations for
foul
everything out
clips?
there. There are compilations for everything, just like there's a parlay for everything now. We have the ability and the luxury to go into so many rabbit holes that somebody's going to find it and the algorithm's going to push it. So,
Yeah.
yes, there are compilations of fouls only, and people love those.
I can't imagine that being a fun way to be a fan, but hey, if that's your thing and you just want to like I can put together like clip reels of fouls of all kinds of players
Mhm.
and make it look like they just do nothing but get to the line. Like
Oh, yeah.
pretty much any top 20 player you can do the same thing for.
Especially now that we have him on so many platforms, which we're watching these playoffs on what, 4 or 5 different platforms, and
Sure.
numbers are huge. Even though people complain, well, I shouldn't have to watch 5 different ways, da 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 da. You shouldn't, but people are because it makes it more available to people. It's not just on TNT. So more people are having access, especially cord cutters.
The funny thing is, it's fewer platforms this year and platforms that are more accessible in a way. Because this year, it used to be you only had an ABC over-the-air broadcast game.
Right.
Games were either on ESPN, ABC, or TNT or NBA TV, which very few people have NBA TV. TNT was
Right.
actually falling off of a lot of people's plans that had been cord cutters. And so,
Hmm.
if a game wasn't on ABC, it was hard to watch NBA games.
Hmm.
Far more people in this country have Amazon Prime than had access to
Hmm.
TNT. So those games that were
Yep.
like the Thursday night, Friday night TNT games are now on Prime. Their numbers are way up. You now
Hmm.
have Sunday night and Tuesday night games on NBC on the over-the-air broadcast network. So
Hmm.
those are accessible to everybody. You just have to have a digital antenna. That's it. You don't even have to have a plan.
Yep.
Um,
Trust me. Hi. Yeah. Because
so
I cut the cord last year.
I think adding those NBC games and having ABC games, now you just have like there's at least 3 to 4 nights a week now, or afternoons, whatever the case may be, where there's an NBA game over the air. And
Yeah.
last year there was maybe 1 or 2 days a week tops with that happening. So I think the extra over the air is making a big difference. And then
Hmm.
Prime versus TNT, it's just so much more accessible to so many more people.
The only one that's a challenge for me that I have found in these playoffs is the ESPN one because I don't have cable. I was watching on the FanDuel throughout the season because I love my homers. And I have access to Peacock and over the air NBC and ABC and Prime. So the only one I don't have is ESPN, which has crept up a couple of times already in the playoffs. One on a Thunder game and then one um well, I think it was the Knicks Hawks game. I think was on ESPN. And so but But that's just a minuscule part that I'm missing out on. One game in the West out of all of them so far. So,
Yeah,
I'm not
you
really
can
missing out.
you can do an ESPN plan where you could watch it from the ESPN website as part like they have like a Disney Plus plan that you can get ESPN
Yeah,
through.
it's just not in my current package. That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying. Just
Um, I
um
think it's only like about $10 a month to do like the ESPN Plus
yeah.
deal where you can watch them directly from the ESPN website. So
Well,
if
I
if
think you
if you
can
run
I
into
mean,
that more, like you could probably just do it for a couple months and not have to
well, I'm
spend a
going to
ton
need it
on
into
it.
June.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
just I'm
like I said, just a couple months. You could do like May and June, and for 20 or
exactly.
$30, you've got what you need. Like it's not the end of the world. And ESPN was already part of the broadcast package,
Right.
so longtime fans already know how to find games there. Like that's
Oh
we
yeah.
we're well practiced at it by now.
Well, this is my because I had cable for forever. I mean, I had it forever. My mama, she worked for AT&T. So we had that always in our household, Southwestern Bell, AT&T, all of that, constantly.
Sure.
She passed, plans changed, and I decided this year I'm gonna just see what I can do because it was cheaper for me to get a full season of FanDuel than it was for a single month of cable. And I was like, let me try this. And it worked out swell. Season worked out swell. So I'm literally running into it's only in playoffs. And again, it's just a one-time thing. So I know me, access is on multiple channels and I don't have an issue. And I think
For
I
for
see
me, the
why the
bigger
numbers are high.
deal is the local stuff.
Yeah.
It's the have like having to have had that FanDuel network subscription or whatever.
Hmm.
Like, and by the way, they will not have the contract next year. The
Nope.
company that they were running that through is going bankrupt. The
Yep.
contract is out as of now. So the Thunder will have a different network for home broadcast next year. We don't know who yet. I'm sure they have already begun the process of getting proposals and whatnot, but I'm really hoping because I know a couple of teams have done this where they have partnered with local over-the-air broadcast networks to be their home games. And I
Now, Oklahoma
I
City
would
did
love
do
to
that.
see the Thunder do that. I know they did like 6 games a year or
Right. So they
something.
started it and they tested it, and it was with
Was it with Griffin
it was
Communications,
with
one of the
Griffin,
Channel
and it was
Nines?
Channel 9, but then it was also on KSBI, which is 52 around here. So
Yeah.
antenna that you can still find it. So, and I think they did those on Saturday games, but I mean, they did like 6 of them, but I personally know people that watched games because they were broadcast on that. So I would love it if they would go ahead and incorporate it. And I go and I do seek out our local after game shows on YouTube, which that's helpful. I'm not going
I
to
feel
miss Nick
like
Gallo's after game interviews.
I feel like whatever money they might lose from like a more exclusive cable type package
Hmm.
would easily be made up for in the extra number of eyeballs they would be bringing to the team. Think of all the kids that would grow up getting to see so many more Thunder home games than they get to see
Oh
them
yeah,
right now.
right.
So that's my hope. If anybody from the Thunder org is listening, that's my 2 cents.
Just let us know. Just let us know what you're going to do, and we'll just let people know. We'll pass it on.
And if you need us to host any kind of after shows or anything, we're here. Give us a
Pre-shows,
call.
interview shows, whatever. We'll make time.
We'll
We're
make it. We'll
givers.
make it work.
So we got the Lakers and Rockets tonight to help us decide. That just extends, so that gives J-Dub time to again continue resting that hammy.
Yes, and I was looking earlier today. If he hits the average time of 12 days missed for a grade 1 strain, he could be back as soon as May 5th, I think. Which would if this series extends to a game 7, I think we're almost certainly going to see Wednesday, May 5th being game 1 of the second round. So,
Yeah.
he may be back as soon as the beginning of round 2. Although they may, if you look at the series we've had against the Lakers this year, like maybe you let him rest a couple extra games and make sure he's fully healed because I think even without J-Dub, this team is just so much better than the Lakers.
Yeah, especially, I mean, I know they say you can get rusty in a week off with rest. They're out there, they're still practicing, they're still going. They're not doing, full 5-on-5 contact, but they're hecka more rested than a team that is pushing to go to 7 just to turn around 2 days later and play the Thunder.
Yeah,
Whether it's Rockets or it's the Lakers.
the Lakers, remember, we're fully healthy going into that
Mhm.
matchup against the Thunder where both Luca and Reeves ended up getting hurt
I
and
know.
had been on like 13 of the 14 games leading up to that. Everybody was talking about how they finally found an identity. And
Yeah.
then we went out, and before those injuries even happened, we were already up by 20. So it was not, we didn't win by 30 because of the injuries. Like, we were winning by a lot before the injuries even took those guys out of the game.
Yeah, our season series against them was, you know. Now the Rockets, of course, I'm not discounting. They absolutely could come back.
It's not likely. There has
Go
never
ahead and
been a
temper me.
team,
Temper me.
never been a team in NBA history that has come back from down 0-3 to win a 7-game series.
No.
However, there have been a few that have forced a game 7 after going down 0-3. I actually remember back when I was a Mavericks fan, pre Thunder days, there was a
Hmm.
series of the Mavericks and Warriors, a 1-8 series, where the Mavericks fell down 0-3 to the 8 seed Warriors, won 3 games in a row to tie the series up and send it to a game 7, and
Wow.
then lost in game 7.
How frustrating. You work so hard to get back there.
So, I've seen that happen before, so that's definitely a possibility, but there's always a first. So, maybe we do see the first ever 0-3 comeback. I don't know.
Maybe. But no matter what, by the time our next episode rolls around, we will finally know who we are playing, and hopefully we'll have played at least one game against them.
We will be at least one or maybe even 2 games. Well, no, probably just one, because like
Yeah,
it's not looking like there's likely to be a game any sooner than Wednesday.
no. Which, I mean, I was looking at the schedule, and like there was no definitive if the Lakers had won and closed it out what day we would start, if it was Saturday or Sunday, because it's May and we're getting into graduation season, and I actually have a graduation and a graduation party to attend on Saturday. And I was like, okay, do we know? And in one of the chats, Rachel Nichols was in the chat, and I was like, hey, do you have any insight as to, whether or not there would be a weekend game if this closes? She was like, well, it might be the second, third, or the fourth. She goes, maybe this weekend, but there was no clarity.
No.
And I understand because you're in a holding pattern waiting to see, so everything's tentative. But to my relief, the Thunder continue to get to sit for several more days, and I get to go attend a friend's graduation, and I won't be stuck to my phone.
Yay.
Yay.
Well, and another positive is, you talked about the rest versus rust issue. I think game 1 against the Suns puts to bed any concerns the Thunder have of looking rusty. That was their best performance of the entire series.
Right.
So I think the
Right.
rest matters more for the Thunder.
Especially for one of the players. Oh, and
Yes.
we can't go away. Speaking of players, today is the
Happy
birthday.
birthday, Cheddar.
Yay. I cannot believe Big Cheddar is having the birthday today in the middle of all of our guys. What is this? Two guys in the midst of playoffs now having
Yeah.
birthdays? I don't know.
Yeah.
They're getting older.
Also,
Oh,
for those of you looking for fun stuff on YouTube, Thunder related, Serge Ibaka sat down with Chet Holmgren and had like a 20-minute episode of how hungry are you, and
ah,
designed a special meal just to try to get Chet to try some weird food. And they talk a little bit of Thunder history. And I learned from this episode, the little sneak peek. Chet says that he was a fan of Serge Ibaka back when he was with the Thunder, and that he was one of the defenders he liked to watch and learn from.
nice.
So Chet says he began watching the NBA around 2011 and had vivid memories of the Mavericks winning that 2011 finals
Ah,
against the Heat. And he was a big Dirk fan.
oh yeah.
And then he said he was also a big Thunder fan and liked watching Serge and KD. And So it was very, very interesting getting to hear a little more from Chet about his earlier NBA watching days.
Love it. Love it. I like the opportunity to have, the two different generations compare and contrast and to,
Yeah,
mentor forward. So it's good.
fun times. So look for that on YouTube, Serge Ibaka and Chet Holmgren.
Yeah,
All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up what we know about where we're at right now in this holding pattern in the playoffs. It's been a little bit nice
right
having
now.
having some days off of doing the pregame previews, but I do look forward to coming back to y'all with more of those.
I agreed, but I will say we are currently 4-0 in the playoffs. 16-0 is still on the
Still
table.
on the table.
Yes,
All
I
right,
love it.
y'all. Make sure if you have not, subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Smash
Subs
that button.
Subscribe on whatever podcast platform you may listen to us on for the audio only version. Give us all the 5-star ratings and the likes and the whatever else's because we're trying to bring you good, inclusive content to build this more inclusive Thunder fan community. And we just want to keep building it up and bringing more people along. Thank you to DJ Unity for bringing up the topic of Jennifer Welch's clip from the Sports Gossip podcast.
Absolutely.
Definitely appreciate you bringing that to our attention and getting to talk about that. And with that, interact with us on threads and, we'll keep bringing you the topics you want to hear about. And we'll be back with you next week to be talking round two.
Yes.
Thunder up, y'all. Bye.
Bye.